Ladies and gentlemen, step right up and join us for another episode of Football Clowns Anonymous, a podcast run by and for NFL football fans. Our goal here is to create a fan community for those who enjoy often questionable takes, analysis, and predictions surrounding all things NFL. So we hope you're willing to join us on our circus act and our journey here. So shows coming to you from YouTube, Spotify. We encourage you to follow along Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Discord, and on X you can search for the FCA show to find us there. And of course, as always, please leave us a review. Let us know what you think of the show, and you can send us an email and engage with us at footballclownsanonymous@gmail.com as well. By we, of course, I mean myself, Ren Smith, better known as the Scholar, and my co-host, better known as the Oracle, joining us from Buffalo, New York, the one and only Kurtis Pinkney. What's going on, sir?
Not much, man. We're ready to dust off the cobwebs a little bit, get back into it. We're talking free agencies, signings, trades. We haven't gotten to the draft quite yet. So we're just trying to recap what's gone on in the offseason so far. Maybe not getting into coaching changes, except for, as necessary. But, I think it'll be a nice little show to just get us back into the groove of things as we steer towards the summertime. Training camp's going to be upon us soon.
Definitely 2 months removed from the disgusting event of the Eagles winning the Super Bowl. Curtis's Eagles winning the Super Bowl, and trying
Nothing
to, like
crazy.
Kurtis said, dust off those cobwebs, get back into
Nothing
it a little
crazy.
bit, and get excited about some of these moves, because there have been. We were just talking before the show. I feel like last year there were even spicier moves than this year. However, there have been quite a few, moves that are spicy enough that are worthy of discussion here.
Yeah, so we would be remiss if we didn't kick off the off-season, the recount of the off-season if we didn't start with probably a move that I don't think anybody saw coming. Rush Hour is one of my favorite movies here. Chris Tucker as Carter it's a masterpiece. So when our boy Deshaun Watson tried to steal his whole flow in the massage parlor scene, you'd have to understand my dismay. But I didn't realize that we had his partner in crime, Jackie Chan, Lee, Detective Inspector Lee, and Justin Tucker was doing the exact same shit with him in that goddamn massage parlor. It's confusing to me. I don't understand how we got here, bro. I don't understand how you can watch somebody be doing the exact same thing you're doing, getting skewered for it, prosecuted for it, and you're like, you know what? I need to see what that's about. I need to see what's going on over there. Like
this seems like the right time to get myself involved in it.
He said Deshaun did this 20 how many times? There was a 2 in front of that number. Yeah, I might need to see what's going on if he's really ready to roll the dice like that many times. I need to see what's going on, bro.
And Deshaun Watson really is that's the kind of performance or the kind of top tier talent that you really want to model yourself after. Even so, man, we already have an early candidate for clown of the next season here, basically, and we at least have an explanation now for what the heck was going on with Justin Tucker during this season. You gotta know that was in his head.
100%. Yeah, I mean that it explains a lot. His mind was just in different places. When the game was on the line, of course, he's thinking about his 7:30 appointment with. I'm not going to insert a name there because I was about to get really flagrant, and I'm not trying to get us canceled right off the bat. So we're just gonna.
Oh man. We're testing out.
We're moving
testing
on.
out. We're testing out a new
Hey,
platform. Gonna test out some new things this year, and you're just out here just trying to kill us like dead on arrival, basically. That's crazy. Well, thank you for sparing yourself. And as we said, we're gonna, we'll see kind of where this conversation takes us. We got a couple of segments that we want to get into. Basically, the first one, and I'm sure it'll take up way longer than we think it will, but we just want to basically dive into a lot of the sort of major signings and sort of either re-signings or people changing teams in notable ways and things like that. And we've also going to talk a little bit about we have a prompt here. What player are you most excited to see on a new team? and then also can look at the individual teams themselves, maybe comment on some analysis of certain teams that maybe seem to be trending up based on their moves, or trying to make some good moves, and also a few teams that seem to be kind of acting like clowns, which is what we're all about here at Football Clowns Anonymous. So, you excited to get into it, Curtis?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, cool.
Starting with the quarterbacks.
Yeah, let's start with the quarterbacks, and I don't think this is in really any particular order here, but we'll just kind of go down the list as we have them right here. So first of all, the former quarterback of the Seattle Seahawks, Geno Smith, is going to be the quarterback of the Las Vegas. I almost said the Oakland Raiders, the Las Vegas Raiders. So
tell me you're old without telling me you're old. That's crazy.
Yeah. I'm dating myself. The San Diego Chargers while I'm at it. Come on, man. Or the Los Angeles Rams. Oh wait, that was old. Now it was new. Now, yeah, blah blah blah. Not funny. Anyway, Geno Smith is quarterback of the Raiders. What are we thinking about? What are we thinking about this one?
I get it. I don't know. It's tough. The Seahawks are clearly. I mean, we're going to get to some of their other moves in the near future, but they're clearly in some state of rebuild here. They dumped Geno, got Goat Darnold, dumped DK, Lockett's out, so it's just JSN at receiver. I don't even remember who's at the tight end position. So it's tough because the Seahawks were close. You know what I'm saying? Like, I guess it just didn't feel like to management that it was a close enough to warrant let's give it another go type of thing.
Yeah, and I think that there are a couple of quarterbacks out there. I think that they were probably thinking, it's time to make a change here, because you don't necessarily think that you got enough pieces around maybe, but you don't think that Geno Smith is the guy that can kind of get there. Yeah. I see them, in my opinion. I see this. We're trying to talk about Geno Smith, but I see the Seahawks as kind of trending down as a result of this and getting rid of a couple of other players. I don't know how they can be as competitive without keeping the same sort of squad together, but maybe, and it's a tricky division there too, in the NFC West. So we'll have to see, but I don't know that I think it's probably a lateral move as far as Geno Smith and as far as the success that he's going to have. The Raiders are kind of a mess. Having Brock Bowers to throw to is going to go well for him, obviously.
I think so.
But in general, it's still
you know what? I think we should put a little bit of respect on Jacoby Myers. I think that connection could be fruitful there.
That's fair, yeah.
Because we also have to remember, like, Goat Brady is at the helm with the Raiders. This feels like a kind of a Goat Brady build. Competent quarterback, banging tight end. Little something slight on the outside that kind of underrated, but gets the job done. I kind of put Wes Welker in there. I don't know if that's disrespectful or not, but. It's probably a little disrespectful, but I think where my head's at.
Remember, we're here for disrespectful takes. Whatever's off the cuff, man. That's what the comment section is for. They can tell you, I'm never watching the show again because you disrespected Wes Welker like that.
I think I can live with that one. To be honest with you, I think I can live with that. But if they put a running back in there, like. I think they've got a pretty decent draft pick. I think there's a non-zero chance they get Ashton Genty. Could be a sneaky, sneaky wild card team in the Raiders.
Yeah, definitely.
They signed Mike Crosby to that contract too. Well,
Yeah, and keeping him around obviously helps. It will be tricky, and that's another. Speaking of the NFC West, the AFC West is also, that's not a cake division, and especially with the Broncos maybe up and coming here, and the Chargers are looking good with, or maybe better than good with Jim Harbaugh at the helm now too. So I think that's going to be the biggest challenge maybe for them, is they got to play 6 of their games against 3 really good teams here potentially coming into this season. So we'll see. But I think it gives. It's definitely an upgrade for the Raiders. I don't know if it's necessarily an upgrade in terms of supporting cast or whatever for Geno Smith, but it's definitely an upgrade for the Raiders as far as having a little bit more of a lock there, basically.
Right.
And we talked about staying on topic here. Basically, we talked about the move with Sam Darnold and moving away from the Vikings and him being essentially the next quarterback of the Seahawks. And I'm a little, well, I don't know. I have a NFL fan perspective on that, and I also have a Vikings fan perspective on that, which are, maybe a little bit different, but have some similar notes to them. But we'll have to see. I saw the Seahawks win total is 8.5 right now, and let's just say I'm feeling the under on that a little bit right now, based on a little bit of overhype maybe coming in there, basically with getting rid of DK Metcalf in Seattle as well. So we'll have to see.
Yeah, 8.5 feels a little aggressive. I mean, Sam had a great run in Minnesota, had a little bit of a different supporting cast. And that's no disrespect to JSN. I mean, I think he'll probably be pretty good, but he's not, he's not JJ. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's not. I mean, he's probably better than Jordan Addison, but I mean, JJ plus Jordan Addison, like, that's greater than JSN plus whoever. So we'll see. And I mean, that division, there are definitely some question marks, but it's question marks of concern. Like, are the Niners going to regain, the former glory that they've had for the past, 4 or 5 years now? The Rams, we're going to get to them in a second here, but that's not fun to think about. Kyler is a threat to be an MVP any given year if he's not playing Call of Duty. Like, it's a tough division. Like, it's a tough division, bro.
It is. I think that'll be a challenge. I think we should tip our hat, at least, though. The Seahawks did sign Cooper Kupp to a 3-year deal as well. I would also argue, though, too, that is a bit of a downgrade from DK Metcalf because he's old. He's much older. He's coming off of an injury. So it's definitely not nothing. But we'll see. Anything is a step down. What?
That might be a little disrespectful.
You think I'm being disrespectful to Cooper Kupp?
A little bit, because I mean we saw Adam Thielen have a late career beautiful season, and Cooper Kupp's a dog. Like, let's not forget that's a triple crown winner.
Yeah, but the NFL stands for not for long, and I didn't necessarily. I saw Puka basically, and when Cooper Kupp was on the field, I saw him getting very much outcompeted.
I'm realizing something that we're going to need to establish a way to track some off the cuff bets that we make throughout the season, because we would have established one right now about Cooper Kupp.
Well, I mean, I'm not being quantitative, to be fair. If you want to go toe to toe on something here. We'd have to come up with some, shall we say, parameter basically, and something that's quantifiable. But I didn't say anything necessarily about his year in particular. I just was saying that having DK Metcalf on that team is, in my opinion, is an improvement from Cooper Kupp. Now, that's just my opinion, but we'll have to see.
Yeah, we will see. I think in the short term that's probably incorrect. Long term it has to be correct because DK is just so much younger. But we definitely will see. But do we want to move on to Matt Stafford?
We should. Matt Stafford. Yeah, absolutely. So the Rams are keeping Matt Stafford around for a little while, which is it's crazy to think that the Rams had a legitimate chance to beat the would-be Super Bowl champion on the road in the snow. And it makes perfect sense that the Rams want to keep Matt Stafford around because I do think there is a legitimate chance that they could win another Super Bowl before he retires. Wondering how you feel about that.
Yes, 100% agree. You just froze for a sec. That's why I froze, because I was like, "Oh, what happened?"
Oh, sorry. No, I'm
you're
good. Trying to make sure we're give and take in the conversation here.
Yeah, no. Yeah, I think that the Rams are going to be. I don't know what their line is right now, but I want to bet the over, whatever it is. Stafford to Devontae Adams. The upside of that sounds like a wet dream, like just an NFL fan's wet dream, bro. That is going to be banana. With Puka on the other side, whatever the betting odds for Stafford to be MVP, I need him. him.
That's a sneaky sleeper, I would say. He's probably way down the list.
With Kyra Williams in the backfield, bro, I'm ashamed to say I don't know what that offensive line is looking like. But if that is even halfway decent, come on, bro. That Rams offense is about to go crazy. is the upside. Now, the downside is Devontae Adams is a shell of himself. He's, 32-ish years old?
Something like
maybe,
that, yeah. He'll be on his way out.
Yeah, when receivers... Yeah, when receivers hit that wall, it's a brick one. So...
Unless you're Adam Thielen, who's, 34 and still cooking.
Yeah, that's that boy a dog. But
I think he's finally done. We'll see.
Time will tell.
Yes.
But so that's obviously the bear case. But
yeah, the West.
I'm willing to bet on that shit. That's a fun team.
The West divisions, AFC and NFC. We've talked about those exclusively to this point. I think those are both really good divisions. We also said the same thing about the AFC West, whatever, a couple of years ago, and it ended up being just totally wrong. So I look forward to being proven completely wrong on this one as well. But speaking of quarterbacks that have signed big extensions to stick around, Josh Allen got the, what would you say, the stupid bag? Is probably bag. How you would...
Yeah, highly accurate. Nothing really much to see here. Player did really well for the team. Team rewarded player for doing really well with the team.
Keep him there. Keep him. Yeah. You can't possibly. Some people were ready to just crucify Josh Allen after losing to Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs again, and I'm just like, you gotta believe that this guy gives you the best chance to win. Keep him 100%. Around. He's not a negotiable piece of your future.
No.
The Bills are gonna win. The Bills are gonna win a Super Bowl with Josh Allen. How about we can place a bet on that if you want, but I'm guessing you'll be on the same side as me.
I could get on board with that logic, yeah. Sir.
I think also the emotional argument, living in Buffalo and seeing the red carpet, you would kiss this man's feet if he walked into the same restaurant you were in. So
let's calm down here. Pause. Let's chill out. He's a great football player. That, full stop. That's it.
Am I doing? Oh wait, maybe I'm talking about the average Buffalo Bills fan.
Yeah, I just moved here, dog. I wasn't born and raised. There's definitely levels to this.
I got a magnet that's still in my house that you put on my fridge. Can you remind me what the football team of that magnet is? You don't even remember this, do you?
That's a Bills magnet. No,
that's a Bills magnet. Yeah, you did that before you lived in Buffalo. So don't give me this. I just moved here bullshit.
I mean, my mom and my dad are from Buffalo, but I've never lived prior to moving here.
Yeah, there's the connection. There's a connection, sir. Anyway, it's good that they locked him up. So that'll be good to go.
Yeah,
good to go for the future. Yeah, what do you make? Go ahead and take us to the next one. I'm really curious.
Speaking of a connection, we've got Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston competing for the number one quarterback spot in New York. The football Giants.
How did we get here where Russell Wilson is okay? So just rewind 3 years where he was just this top candidate coming out of Seattle, basically to take the Broncos and turn them into the Elway type level glory, and now to be talking about the fact that he is competing with Jameis Winston to quarterback the Giants. Please, what happened here?
And bro, the personalities, the Jameis Winston pre-hype game speech or pre-game hype speech versus the Russell Wilson pre-game hype speech. Bro, you could not this is a get your popcorn ready type of situation. I think we have a get your popcorn ready alert. We might have to make that a thing. Get your popcorn ready alert, because this is definitely one of those situations, bro. Because I would bet Jameis puts up better numbers. I will bet the Giants offense puts up more points on the board, more yardage, more turnovers.
Yes,
but more W's than a Russell Wilson Giants offense could.
I don't have to remind you of this, but you remember the Jerry Jeudy performance with it was the Jerry Jeudy revenge game late in this last season for the Browns. Jameis Winston was throwing and threw 250 yards to Jerry Jeudy in that revenge game. He threw 3 picks also, and they lost in a blaze of glory. But how exciting of a game that was. And I'm sure, I don't know this, I don't know any Giants fans personally, I'm sure that they're in New York, they're craving that Jameis Winston, just to inject some like goddamn life into that franchise. Basically, you got Brian Daboll, who's like just a kind of a blubbering idiot almost. Like you guys got the most like mundane football franchise right now. Like inject Jameis. That's what you need. That's what you need right now. Throw into Malik Neighbors too. That connection, the Judy connection that I was just talking about. Now that's Malik Neighbors. Come on.
The response when Jameis signed was one of excitement. The response when Russell signed was,
yeah, because now you know probably Russ is going to be the starter, and you're not going to get that energy level that
he doesn't deserve it. Give that shit to J-Bo. Come on, man. He's earned
this. I have Jameis on my dynasty team. I need a third quarterback. That'd be awesome.
Fun. Yo, Jameis to Malik for fantasy, that stack would go crazy.
Just stupid.
You got to do it just for the fun of it.
Yeah, I had in that game I was talking about. I had Winston, of course. I said I have Winston. I also have Judy, and I had David Njoku, and I scored like 85 points for 3 Browns players that week. Yes, that was absolutely absurd. Speaking of former Steelers quarterbacks, in Russell Wilson, we have a new quarterback of the New York Football Jets, Justin Fields. This is going to be really interesting, I think.
I think it is. I think like sticking with the fantasy theme for a half a second, I think the Fields to Garrett Wilson stack could be very sneaky. That could be a sneaky little stack because both of them are going to be cheap for their position. Garrett Wilson would probably be like a late second, early third type of pick, I would guess. For I think there's some upside there. Justin Fields fed DJ Moore a little bit. If Fields reestablishes himself as a runner, I think that'll leave Wilson up for a lot of one-on-one coverage. But we'll see. I don't know. We'll see. Very too early speculation there. But it sounds fun, but it's the Jets, and I've seen them ruin far too many quarterbacks up to this point to believe that they will do Justin Fields justice in this role.
Do anything different, basically.
Yeah.
Will the Jets win more games with Justin Fields at quarterback than they did with Aaron Rodgers at quarterback?
How many games is that?
Oh, like 4 or 5 total. And 2. I mean, granted, he didn't play the whole season, but this whole first season. But I'm just thinking about will they improve this year? They won like 4 games.
They will win 7 games.
I think they will win more games. Justin Fields will win the Jets more games than Aaron Rodgers did, and that is hilarious. That
just enough to inspire a competition between a young quarterback.
Yes. I mean, and I don't think Zach Wilson is a good quarterback, but they had Zach Wilson. There were a few games at least where Zach Wilson looked competent in that Jets offense and with the Jets defense kind of backing him up. So we'll see. It could be a user-friendly spot for Justin Fields to plug in and make a little noise, but we'll see. That division is not in their wheelhouse, though, in my opinion.
No, it's a tough one, but there is an upside there. I mean, the supporting cast is interesting. The offensive line is always forever a struggle. The defense is interesting. Aaron Glenn at the helm. There's some intrigue there, but until further notice of the Jets, and show it to me, like this, plain and simple.
It's kind of a prove it type of situation.
Yeah, well,
I would say.
Ren, you being the master of segues and prove it situations, we got Daniel Jones going to the Indianapolis Colts.
Daniel Jones will be competing with Anthony Richardson for the Colts starting job. This is fascinating to me. Two guys I think that had a ton of hype coming into their careers, and Daniel Jones has now moved from the Giants. I'm very happy he's not going to be starting for the Vikings, that we got rid of him. So there's that, but Anthony Richardson, especially the hype coming into the last season, and then you just realize kind of this isn't it kind of thing, and now you got to bring in and so I wonder actually too. I still think it's Richardson's job to lose for the immediate moment.
Yeah.
And I think that the Daniel Jones signing lights a fire under his ass, actually. Like, play better or we're going to go with somebody else. Do I think that either one of these guys is the answer long term? I actually don't. Pre's career hype aside, they haven't shown me enough. So we'll see. But I am interested to see who's going to win it.
Yeah, it's definitely not warm fuzzies coming from Indianapolis right now. Jonathan Taylor probably punching the air. Like, what the fuck? How did I end up being Nick Chubb? You know what I'm saying? Bro, like, how did this happen to me?
I gotta do fucking everything, man.
Bro, just, like, what are we talking about right now? Yeah, man, it's kind of crazy. Because either one of them they are, in a weird way, similar-ish quarterbacks. You know, Daniel Jones is a kind of sneaky athlete. You know, obviously AR is, you know, that boy's a dog. Like, that's why he got drafted in the first place. But, you know, he's just, the bad games are really bad. Like,
for both.
Inexcusably bad. Nah, yes. Like, I think AR has, like, some really, like, just, like, like stank face bad.
And, that's fair. I would say the ceiling is a little higher for AR, but the floor is also lower for AR as well. And what the Colts are going to want to go with. I mean, either way, you're getting mediocrity, I think, from either of these guys.
Yeah, but, like, to try and stomach that kind of volatility at the most important position in the game, like, I like, unless you see a massive improvement from him, like, you can't give him the job. Like, you got to, you know, roll with Jones, take your L, and move on. Like, but really maybe that's just me. I mean, I don't know if that's too harsh, but, like, it's not great. Not great.
I look forward to actually seeing. I know we said this already, but I look forward to seeing how the draft in a couple of weeks changes how we're looking at these teams, because, you know, a couple of pieces here or there for some of these teams that were kind of like, okay, maybe, you know, they can figure it out, or mediocrity or something like that. A couple pieces, and we might be starting to change our tone a little bit.
Yeah. Which
could actually probably provide some good, these conversations we're having ahead of time actually might provide some good betting angles, because there might be some rookies that come in that everybody's, you know, crowding around like, yeah, we got all this talent coming in, basically. We can remember that time before the draft where we're like, this team is not going to be good, and you drafting a couple of cool rookies is not going to change the overall season perspective, probably.
Right.
But regardless, we got two more quarterbacks if you want to bring these in here. Joe Milton to the Cowboys.
Yeah, I just thought these two were kind of interesting to me. Kind of raised my eyebrow a little bit. Joe Milton to the Cowboys, I can see that one be kind of fun. You know, everybody knows about Milton's arm. CeeDee Lamb's a dog. Could probably catch a deep ball, I'm guessing. I just think if Dak went down, which kind of happens sometimes, you know.
It's more than the Cowboys would like, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I think Milton presents an interesting. I mean, I think the fan base would be kind of, oh yeah, okay, Joe Milton. Let's see what happens.
Better than Cooper Rush.
Yeah, I mean, you know, we've seen what Cooper Rush is. It was fun. You know, we all had fun. I think it's best we both go our separate ways, and let's find somebody that, you know, has a little bit more upside.
Cooper Rush, like a one night stand or something like that.
Hey, bro, you know, we all had fun here. Let me just call you Uber, and let's just ship you on out here.
Get you to the retirement community for NFL quarterbacks. The retirement compound.
That's right.
Yeah. No, that's a fair take. And then you got former hot dog or existing hot dog Mac Jones on here as well to the Niners. So
he showed flashes in New England. Like, if there was ever a quarterback to make him look great, Kyle Shanahan for sure, who made Sam Darnold look great. He's made Jimmy Garoppolo look great. You know what I'm saying? Like, Mac Jones is still a very young player. He showed flashes in a less than stellar Patriots offense. I think there is a non-zero chance if Brock Purdy goes down and Mac Jones has to step up. Like, that's, I don't know if it's going to be a 1-for-1 replacement, but you're going to get 80% of the way there. I would argue. I think it's a sneaky good signing.
And with, I think Brock Purdy catches a lot of shit also for being kind of a game manager type quarterback. And I personally think he's better than that. However, Mac Jones could fill that role.
Yep.
I'm going to bring up this concept in one more particular place, later on in the show, but user-friendly offense comes to mind with the 49ers if CMC is healthy. And, you got a stellar defense and some good pieces, as far as in the receiving game. So,
Right.
that's fair. Could go. So we get those are some good quarterback moves. We're going to move, I think, now to talk about some running backs and, starting us off here, basically, the GOAT from last year, your boy, Saquon Barkley, fresh off of a glorious final form season, if you will, with the Eagles. 2-year extension. He's sticking around with the Eagles. You got to be feeling good about that.
He earned that shit. Extending a running back after you just signed him, but he put up the season that he earned that. Howie Roseman, he's the GOAT, bro. He is the GM GOAT, bro. Oh god, Howie Roseman.
You gotta full stop here. Just for a second right now. We're still talking about football here.
I'm getting a little hot and bothered over here thinking about my boy Howie Roseman.
That's kind of what it sounds like. I'm just checking in.
You reward your players for putting up would have been historic seasons. Attract talent. That's you locked in Jalen Hurts. You've got AJ Brown, Devonta Smith. You got the core offense pretty much locked in for the foreseeable future. Kind of, sort of, you're gonna have to figure out that offensive line is aging a little bit, but bro, I think the core is locked down for the next 3 or 4 years or something crazy like that.
The Eagles are going to be a very big problem in the NFC.
And the way that defense played last year, bro,
you are going to be a very, very big problem. And I think within the next couple of years you're going to win another Super Bowl. If not even this year. I don't mind the odds right now at plus 600 for you to repeat. That Eagles team was a buzzsaw this year, especially in the playoffs.
There are a lot of question marks around the potential contenders. The Niners, the Packers, the Cowboys, the Rams,
the Lions losing their coordinators.
Lions. Yeah. The Vikings.
Commanders I think have a good bid too, but the sophomore slump. The only thing to address is the potential sophomore slump loading for Jaden Daniels.
Right.
But if he plays like he did the back half of the season, especially and in the playoffs, they could be a problem too. The Rams could also be a problem, as we already talked about.
Rams,
but it's a pretty short list, and you even have question marks about those teams. Like the Eagles.
Yeah.
I don't know. You should get the 1 seed probably. I know it's too early to be talking crazy like this. You're one or two injuries away from that not being the case, but still, Anyway, you deserve all of that sort of preseason respect coming into it. Actually, I heard Saquon Barkley's name. I'm going to tip my cap just for a very brief moment. Stay with me. I heard Saquon Barkley's name come up today of all days on a sportscast. I'm going to tip my hat to Alex Ovechkin setting the goal record. They were talking about how Eric Dickerson and Saquon Barkley and how they sat Barkley and how Dickerson's kind of comment was, I don't want anybody to break my record. I hope it stands forever. Whereas now, Gretzky was literally on the ice 10 minutes after Ovechkin broke his record. So that was a cool sports moment. I know this is not Hockey Clowns Anonymous, but we're here to make sure we cover all the big moments.
It's a big record. That's a big one. Yeah.
Yep. It'd be like touchdowns in the NFL or something like that. And Gretzky's very well known, but anyway, switching ourselves.
I think it'll be equivalent to if somebody can best Brady's 7 rings.
That is a really good question. And right now it's Mahomes is the only one I think that would have a shot to do that, but he may have waived that right now with this last Super Bowl blunder.
Yeah. That's a really tough race. 7 rings.
Yeah.
1 on a different team at your age 40 season. That's tough.
There's a reason why in the Dick's Sporting Goods commercials he's literally riding a goat. There's a reason. There's a reason for that.
Yeah.
He's leaning into it too. So, hey, speaking of goats, my Vikings. Just kidding. That'll never.
Yeah, I knew that's where you were gonna try and go.
That's not the segue. That's not the segue. But I like to act like it is. My Vikings are re-signing former Packers running back Aaron Jones. This is once again, I don't think there's too much to say here. He had a fantastic season, and he deserves to stay on the team. And I'm glad that they locked him up. Like after getting rid of Dalvin Cook, and at his age, and he kind of flamed out really quickly. And Madison wasn't the answer. I'm glad you got your guy, and I think that this will continue to be a good relationship.
Yes, and I think signing Jordan Mason behind him, that's going to be a nice pairing. I think that'll work. I think that'll work out quite nice because Aaron Jones can't stand up to that full workload, and Jordan Mason obviously last year proved more than capable of filling that gap. I think that makes for a sneaky good Vikings running backfield that'll probably give quite a few teams some problems, assuming health. I think of course.
So. That's the 1-2 punch there at running back and the 1-2 punch at wide receiver that we already have. Like this, the offense is not going to have any problems. We'll see about the defense, but the offense. Well, I should say.
We'll see what happens with the quarterback.
That's what I was going to say. The skill position players, those are locked down. You still got T.J. Hawkinson at tight end, as far as I'm aware. So, I mean, you need to plug in a competent quarterback. So, we'll see if we've got there. And I also wanted to mention, I know you're trying to roast me for this. Seconds before we go on the recording, you're just not liking this one. So it's a little bit of a potentially sneaky, could work out okay type of thing. Javonte Williams going to the Dallas Cowboys from the Broncos. The reason I say that is I go back like 5, 6, 7, 8 years to the days, the early Zeke days, basically. Like Dallas Cowboys do well with this like sort of workhorse type style back. Javonte was in a really crowded running back room at the Broncos, but I think that when they gave him time and opportunity, that he was able to do enough maybe to demonstrate that he's got a shot at that. Look at the Cowboys running backs the last couple of years. They're trying to go with Rico Dowdle. They brought back Zeke way too late in his career. Tony Pollard was kind of worked out okay, but kind of a failed experiment there too. It's an opportunity, and I think he'll play with a chip on his shoulder as well. So we'll see. I'm not sure that you agree with that, considering how, anti this analysis you have seen.
Javonte Williams is not the answer in Dallas. Like, he didn't have a great past couple of years with the Broncos. I would bet that the Cowboys are going to draft a running back to pair with him in that backfield. Probably within the first couple of rounds, if I were a betting man. It's not a very it's like when they traded for Jonathan Mingo from the Panthers for a 4th round pick. Like that's how this kind of feels to me. It's not very inspiring.
Fair enough. I'm not going to say he's a diamond in the rough. I'm just looking for a bit of a, they're trying to get a little bit more.
Bro, I hear you, but if his name wasn't Javonte Williams, and he has the resume that he has, are you excited about this?
Maybe it doesn't jump off the page as much to me. I need this because I still famously gave away Isaiah Pacheco for him a couple of years ago. So in my dynasty league. So, and this is why we started a podcast called Football
Which is
Clowns.
Crazy. Because now that doesn't even really look like you would have been winning in that situation either.
No, it doesn't. That's you know what? Honestly, that's kind of where I was at with it. It's like I told you this at the time. The Chiefs' skill players are a revolving door. Patrick Mahomes makes anybody look good. The second they got to pay somebody too much money, and get rid of him, and then he goes and is okay somewhere else, basically. Like, so I don't think that Pacheco would have been the answer either, so I was willing to throw a dart at Javonte. Did it play out like how I hoped? No. But, I don't think it was a bad move considering what was eventually coming for Pacheco to have to start splitting time, and it was an injury, and anyway.
Sure.
All that said. We have one more running back that we don't want to skip over, however. Somehow didn't make the highlight on the list here initially. Najee Harris is going to be the next running back of the Los Angeles Chargers. This is a big blockbuster move in a, Jim Harbaugh basically being famously run heavy sort of style. This could actually really play out well for them and give a solid, stable running game to open up some opportunities for Herbert in that passing game. So I'm was one of my more excited sort of moves in this free agency.
I wonder if this move will be a little overhyped. I don't think J.K. Dobbins did that bad last year. Like, Najee Harris has been a 1,000-yard rusher his first, 4 years in the league, and, he does fine, but is he that much of an improvement over J.K. Dobbins?
I think we might be surprised to find out. I'm not necessarily saying skill-wise that he's that much better, but this is going to be a run-friendly offense with Jim Harbaugh and, having a good competent offense there. I wouldn't be surprised if it does appear as a step up. I wouldn't be surprised. Not necessarily going to... This isn't going in my bet slips or anything like that, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's a leg up.
Sure. Yeah, it's exciting, but I just don't I don't think he just walks in there and it's just a 20 touch a game, maybe 15 touch a game, but I feel like that's kind of aggressive. Maybe the 12 to 15 probably feels right, and then JK's 7 to 10 type of touch kind of game.
That's a good two-headed monster, though.
I would say so. I would say so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I could just see in fantasy Najee Harris getting kind of bit up a little bit, and
might be a little over. I could see overhyped from a fantasy standpoint. I'm speaking mostly about the Chargers, in general here. But
for the Chargers, I think it's definitely a net positive. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I could see it being a little overinflated in fantasy though. With the it's a two-headed monster is still competition, right? So it'll be interesting. We gotta run back a fantasy episode too coming up later this summer as well. That'll be fun to do.
I think so.
When we start hopping in the mock draft lobbies and stuff like that. It'll be fun to dust off those cobwebs again.
I mean, speaking of mock draft lobbies, number 1 pick Jamar Chase got locked up with his Robin or Batman 1B T Higgins. Both of them got locked up.
Smart.
Cincinnati Bengals.
Smart.
Joe Burrow for MVP. What are we doing? How are we feeling about this season?
Keep your quarterback happy. You know what? I want to say full sail on the Bengals this year. I would have said the same thing last year. Why? On paper, Joe Burrow for MVP. Just what? But something's gonna happen. I don't know. The Bengals continue to disappoint. But to your point, signing your 2 wide receivers, these guys, that if it's not the Vikings, that's probably the best 1-2 punch in the NFL for wide receivers.
No,
and
this
good
is
for them.
Definitely the best 1-2 punch. T. Higgins, when healthy, and it's always a goddamn soft tissue injury, so that motherfucker's always hurt. But when healthy, and I know this because every year I'm a sucker for him in fantasy, and I just can't help but draft him. But I've been peeking at early fantasy rankings, and they've got him in the 20s. I'm like, no, thank you. Not that rich.
Not that high. You like him in the 40s or 50s because the rankings are always
screaming deal.
It's a great deal. It always has been a great deal when he's healthy. To your point.
Yeah, he's healthy. When he's healthy, he's giving you 17 points. Sorry, I'm getting us off.
No, it's okay. The Bengals. No, I mean, this is we're hitting all aspects. This is what we want. This is what we want to do. The Bengals have an opportunity to win the division, I think, this year as well. I mean, the Ravens are going to still be good. It's just, I see the Steelers are...
It's either Aaron Rodgers or bust.
They need Aaron Rodgers, or Tomlin might finally have a losing season. I know I said that last year, but Tomlin might finally have a losing season.
I would love to see what that line gets set at if Rodgers says, "No, I'm going to retire," and they have to roll into the season with Mason Rudolph.
Oh my goodness!
I want to see that line at a 6.5.
It's going to be a 6.5. You're going to take the over on it because in Tomlin we trust, right? I still can't believe there's calls for him to be fired, because he's not turning the corner and stuff. It's I'm sorry, he's doing enough almost every single year you're making the playoffs, and he's doing enough to give you those opportunities.
I think the argument is he has a hand in building the team, and the teams that he's helping build are only good enough to make it to the playoffs just to get laughed out of the fucking playoffs. It's not what we're trying to build. That's not the
fair,
objective.
But it's it's nice. It's nice to
being
be in the playoffs
good
every year.
being good at building a 9-win team doesn't mean you're good at winning the championship. I don't want to admit that out loud, but like, I don't know, like, is it because he found success early in his career?
All you got to do is make the playoffs, and you got a shot. There are a lot of teams that would kill to make the playoffs as often as the Steelers are. I think they're, there's a, what is it, the your tolerance level for making the playoffs is, or you become, what is it, desensitized to it. It's like you drink a cup of coffee every morning. Yeah. Basically, it doesn't feel like you're having the coffee. It doesn't feel like you're getting the boost anymore because you've been just so used to getting it. So I don't know, but you're still better off than somebody who's like has a shot of V8 or something like that and tries to.
Wow. Since we're talking about the Steelers, how are we feeling about DK Metcalf going opposite George Pickens?
That's a great duo. Let's be real. That's a great duo. But I'm going to stay with the quarterback just for half a second. Who's throwing to them? That's going to be my question, right?
Currently Mason Rudolph.
Currently Mason Rudolph. So is it a great place? Is it a great landing spot on the other side of George Pickens? Absolutely. Hell yeah. This is a great wide receiver room now, suddenly out of nowhere. But I'm not sure that it's going to necessarily help them. We talked about in the past seasons when you have a quarterback and you have no receivers. Famously last year, the Chargers, for example. Now I think the Steelers have the opposite problem. Now you've got these pieces and you've got nobody to get them the ball. I mean, we'll see, but I'm not high on Mason Rudolph being the answer in that one. I'm happy for DK. I'm happy for DK though, and
yes, of course. It felt very desperate, to be honest with you. Like, that's a 4-year, $132 million. Like, I think he's doing like 33 a year, something like that. That's pretty rich for DK Metcalf. Also on my fantasy team last year, and let me tell you, that man can disappear some weeks. Like a 33 a year receiver should not be disappearing to the degree that he disappears some week.
That's fair.
And with a huge question mark at quarterback, like, I don't think he. And maybe I would love to be proved wrong, but I don't think he's the kind of receiver that's going to make a bad quarterback look good, especially with his temperament on the sideline. Like, he is, when things aren't going right, like, he's a very passionate player, we'll say.
Wants that ball.
So,
Seems like
we'll
the move that they would have wanted to do once they have the quarterback position really locked and stable, kind of thing. Like bring in a guy like this to help your quarterback, right? Like, and yes, he's like obviously having him on your team versus not having him on your team is an improvement.
It's a net positive, yeah.
It is a net positive for your team, but if you don't have the $33 million basically to not have anyone to get him the ball, it's going to be stressful.
And then the personality clash with Pickens. If there is one there, obviously this is all from a 10,000-foot view, just a humble fan just sitting on our couch here, but evidence would suggest that they both got some emotion to them.
Well, especially in a team that doesn't have a quarterback, so
yeah,
we'll have to wait and see. But on the other hand, other sort of shall we say. Well, I was going to say superstar, but like high profile, that's the word I'm looking for. High profile wide receivers making moves here. Deebo Samuel, former 49ers wide receiver, is going to be receiving passes from a competent quarterback named Jaden Daniels on the Commanders. And I think that the Commanders are very clearly moving in a direction where they think they can win. And they can probably win now, and they think they probably see that after the playoff run that they had. And so this to me seems like a move of like, what help can we get for this guy? Because this guy's showing us that we picked the right guy, and this is basically like what I'm saying that the Steelers probably should have done is wait till you have that piece. The Commanders are like, no, we've got the piece, we're ready to go, and let's feed him, basically. So I think this could be a really He could have some big stat lines. Let's say that.
I think so. I think it's hard to make the argument this is a bad move for the Commander, especially for a fifth. Like I like that trade. Net positive for Jaden. There's of course the risk of the dreaded sophomore slump, but that boy trains in VR at 2x speed. Like, he's good. It's good to go. good to go. Like with McLaurin on the outside, Brian Robinson at running back, who was kind of sneaky good. Like Zach Ertz will, they re-signed Zach Ertz, all reliable at tight end. It's a good offense. It's not, I like that better than like trying to pick up like DK or something like that. Like that, I think would have felt not as great in a weird kind of way. Like it would have been a little bit more oil and water with McLaurin as opposed to I think Debo and McLaurin kind of complement each other pretty well. Send McLaurin down the field, Debo can run that underneath and coming out that backfield kind of goofy shit and McLaurin can go cook somebody downfield. It feels nice.
Yeah. Terry will have Terry and Debo will have the same number of receiving yards in a game. Terry will do it in 3 catches. Debo will do it in 8. But that's a compliment in that sense of different sort of styles of use.
Right.
To your point, so we'll have to see.
So speaking of complimenting, Christian Kirk to the Texans. How are we feeling about that? Paired up with Nico Collins.
Yes, absolutely. No, I think that's going to work out well for them. I mean, and the Texans, of course, got rid of Diggs. We're coming up on him eventually here too, so it makes sense for them to bring in somebody else basically, and it looks like for a 7th round pick too. So this is a no-brainer to bring in somebody like this. A little bit more of a veteran type sort of thing, but gives you some of that stability and sort of reliability at that position then too. And then like you said, Nico Collins can go cook somebody down the field, or Tank Dell can go cook somebody down the field basically at the same time while Christian Kirk is running the safe route. So
yeah, I think it's going to be a nice little upgrade there. I heard on a different podcast they were talking about is Christian Kirk an upgrade from Tank Dell, and I think the answer has to be yes.
I think so.
Christian Kirk has just been more productive, more reliable. He's just on the field. Obviously, Tank Dell has, been the victim of some very unfortunate injury history. Gunshot wound being one of them, which is, not something you want to see on your injury history. Plus, just tore up his leg on the one play last season. So, I mean, for the Texans offense, I think it's certainly a net positive. I think they could probably turn things around a little bit next season. Their offense kind of it got a little stale, a little bit.
Yeah, I would say a bit of a sophomore slump for CJ Stroud, but kudos to them. They still want a playoff game, and I think they probably still feel like they're positioned to bring in some of these pieces to help out CJ Stroud in the way that Christian Kirk is, or in the way that Debo is being brought in to help Jaden Daniels. I think having some of those more stable sort of veteran-y type players will really help when you've got some young superstars as well that can run those downfield routes as well. So I think it'll be good, and I'm interested. I think the Texans will rebound a little bit this year. It feels a little bit like they're close to their ceiling a little bit, and that's maybe just because the AFC is just so strong. But you never know. CJ Stroud might take his place among those, naturally take his place among those Joe Burrows and Lamar Jacksons and Josh Allens and Mahomeses, coming up here over the next couple of years with some of these extra pieces surrounding him. So we'll have to see.
Yeah.
But we just mentioned Stephon Diggs being taken away from the Texans. He's going to go catch passes from Drake May in New England, which I think is also a really interesting, He's become somewhat of a journeyman now, this Stephon Diggs character, and it'll be interesting to see how productive he can still be as he's climbing up in age there as well. But having some, you want to give your quarterback help, having somebody who's, I watched him play for Minnesota for a long time. He's very reliable as a target. Damn, has stickum on his gloves. He's not dropping the ball. So. And he'll be in a prove it mode now for the 3rd or 4th time in his career, depending on how you count. So,
yeah, I think this is definitely more of a positive for Drake May than it is for Stephon Diggs. Drake May, from what I can tell, had a all things considered pretty good season. As a quarterback, he seems to be showing well. So and he was throwing to who last year? I don't know if you could tell me. Not a great receiving core.
No.
So, yeah, Stephon Diggs is certainly an upgrade for him, and I think that'll be fruitful. But do the Patriots go anywhere because of it? Like, I'm not excited about their team winning prospects. Like, not with the Bills, of course, still in division. The Dolphins still have Tyreek, even though he's getting up there. But I'll take a old Tyreek with Tua throwing him the ball versus Drake May throwing Stephon Diggs. Like,
yeah,
with Jalen Waddle on the other side, like that's. So I don't know, and then the Jets and it's good for Drake May's development. For the Patriots, meh.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, I think that this is probably the worst situation of Diggs' career to this point. You've got the young sort of superstar C.J. Stroud, and before that you had Josh Allen, and then before that you were alongside Adam Thielen in Minnesota, basically, and had some journeyman quarterbacks, but made some history there on a historic play. Kind of thing, and so you have to think that this might be his final stop.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of final stops, and maybe the best situation of either of their careers, maybe a spicy take. Devontae Adams going to the Rams.
Yes, Well, I think that's a spicy take when you consider the connection that he had with Aaron Rodgers twice in two different teams.
I hear you.
And he's also getting up there in age as well.
Sure is.
You gotta like I don't know. We talked about them already, but you gotta like the Rams this year. Like you gotta feel good about their direction they're heading with re-signing Stafford, and this is probably his last stop. Devontae Adams has to be, but like the connection, if he can build that connection with just a steady hand type quarterback, and Aaron Rodgers-esque, if you will. Is that a wild comparison to now be comparing Stafford to Aaron Rodgers? I don't think so in this day and age.
I mean, shit, at this stage of their careers, Matt Stafford is definitely greater than Aaron Rodgers.
At this stage, for sure, yeah. But I mean, also they have the same number of Super Bowl championships. So
that's what I'm saying.
Let's be fair to Stafford
respect
here, right?
Aaron
Rodgers is in the limelight.
We saw what Stafford did with Calvin Johnson. Like, we saw what Stafford did with Cooper Kupp. We saw what Stafford did with Puka Nacua. We say we can't do that shit with Devontae Adams. Come on, dog.
No. Yes, we're saying that they can't do that. Yes,
bro. Like, wheels up. Wheels up, bro.
We're feeling good about the Rams this year.
Oh my god, with Sean McVay at the helm, wheels
Rams
fucking up.
The crazy thing is, the Rams might not be the favorite to win the division this year. They might be. They might have gone back to the Niners because everybody's just going to snap back to like, well, one injury-riddled year with CMC is not enough to counteract, and I don't know. We'll have to see.
No. And guess who's betting on the Rams to win the division?
You're going to.
Yes, sir.
I'm probably going to be joining you on that one, and we're going to be in the same direction with their win totals. Unfortunately.
Yes, sir.
Because that will not mean any betting angles or for a whiskey bet. There'll be no intensity on that team like there was on the Commanders last year, under 6.5.
That's okay. I know for a fact we'll find somewhere to disagree.
Yes, definitely.
But speaking of repeat division winners, wonderful bets that we made last year. We got the Bucs.
This is one of my I'm sorry. This is one of my That's one of my favorite bets I've ever made. Plus 320 odds for the Bucs to win the division in preseason. They're bringing back Chris Godwin and Sterling Shepard.
Let's fucking go.
And Mike Evans will get less than 1,000 receiving yards when he does, but not a moment or what am I trying to say? Until proven otherwise, he's going to get 1,000 receiving yards again this year.
That is correct, sir.
No, because why not?
It's lock it in, write it in stone.
Are we Baker Mayfield fans now? A Baker Mayfield and Tampa Bay fans now?
Long time ago. When he was doing all that shit last year, oh my god! When he fucking was stiff arming Nick Bosa, made that fucking 4th and forever toss, and that shit was on a rope straight to his receiver's hands, bro. After that play, I might as well just go and get a jersey because that shit was crazy.
That was.
Bro,
It was
Baker Mayfield's that guy.
It was amazing watching him on some of those. Not even just that. I mean, that play was extremely memorable, yes, but like there were some times where it's like they just got him dead to rights, and he just takes off. He's like, "I'm getting this first down. I know it's 3rd and 8. I don't
he's
care."
lowering the shoulder.
Oh,
he's
yeah.
lowering the shoulder on you.
Yeah, that's that kind of intensity, that kind of heart is like it's no wonder they won the division. Like, yeah,
Thanks.
Like, that kind of it's kind of amazing to watch. So I think they'll be back up there again this year. If not winning the division, then somewhere close. So
yeah.
And we already talked about last but not least, we already talked about Cooper Kupp. Going to the Seahawks. We'll see what this means for. We'll see what it means for Sam Darnold, but he is effectively a replacement for DK Metcalf, kind of in the way that those trades worked out. Again, from a later on in the career standpoint, the 5-year angle at this is probably a negative move for the Seahawks, but you got to have some good receivers around Sam Darnold, as we learned last year. So that is a smart move for them to bring in somebody like that. And the Rams have upgraded. Well, maybe not long term again, but with the Devontae Adams trade. So interesting to see how these teams' stocks are kind of rising and falling as a result of these compensating moves here.
Yeah, I think the Seahawks will be interesting with Kupp. I think it'll work out. It's just weird given the moves that they made. Like, why would you sign Kupp to that kind of deal when you had a younger Metcalf? Like, it's obviously not a 1-for-1 deal, and you're bringing in Kupp on a lot less money. But it's just like, why? Like, are you trying to win? Are you trying to rebuild? Like, what are you doing right now?
It does make you raise some eyebrows a little bit, and that's the same thing with it's the same thing with their quarterback situation too. I think the Seahawks think they're upgrading to Sam Darnold after last year, and I'm be willing to contend that's either lateral or it could be a slight downgrade.
Definitely a slight downgrade for sure.
Yep, lateral at best is what I'm saying.
Yeah,
but
at best, yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, we'll see. Got a couple of tight ends. We already touched on Zach Ertz a little bit. The Commanders wrapped him up, so they get to keep having some smart, some of these smart receiving weapons and solid sort of options around Jaden Daniels. Good for them.
Yeah, just a nice little safety blanket. Nothing crazy there.
No, and he had a good season. I mean, I think he's getting pretty old, but there's no reason to expect. At the tight end position, you can get up there a little bit more. See Jason Witten. Oh, while we're at it, basically,
right.
Like, you can still be that safety blanket for a very long time.
Didn't Gonzalez get up there? And
I think so. Grant? Yeah, he did too. Yeah, I mean, you can still be that security blanket for quite a long time.
Yeah. Speaking of security blankets, Kyler Murray's security blanket, Trey McBride, got the stupid bag.
Oh my gosh, totally deserved. He was awesome this last year.
Yeah,
he's the next. Oh. Do we want to say he's the next Gronk, Jimmy Graham?
I don't know. Gronk was kind of a different animal, but Jimmy Graham feels right.
Basically the I guess the archetype that I'm going for here is the guy that you're drafting like he's a wide receiver, basically, in fantasy football. That you're drafting like he's a wide receiver because he's extremely high volume, basically, and is that sort of like he's almost a wide receiver. He could potentially we could be talking about him and Travis Kelce in the same conversation at some point, I think.
I would think so.
Yeah. With the sort of like the usage, right? Like the fact that he's not yes, he's a tight end, but he seems like a Swiss Army knife in a lot of ways, so we're really happy for Kyler Murray, and again, just making the NFC West that much spicier, basically.
Yeah, I think it'll be cool. He was on my fantasy squad last year, so you already know I'm riding with Trey McBride till the wheels fall off. If I could keep him in my keeper league,
two
it'd be wonderful.
Two PPR for tight ends too, right?
Exactly.
That's
and we
crazy.
get to keep any player outside of the top 24. He's currently sitting at 22, I believe, or 20. I need that to drop.
If that drops, you can keep him.
That's right.
That would be excellent.
If not, I'm gonna spend for him. I'm gonna do it.
You might have to. I
wouldn't
blame it, or I wouldn't blame you.
I would, maybe along the lines of fantasy, another sneaky tight end signing here, Evan Ingram to the Broncos for
Yes.
Bo Nix. I like that a lot.
I do. He's been a high volume, high reliability kind of target, and the Broncos didn't even. The Bo Nix looked really good last year. The Broncos didn't even really have a tight end. Like this is extremely positive, I think, from that standpoint.
I think so, because Bo Nix definitely was showing flashes. I'm sure they'll be signing a running back. Cortland Sutton's still there. Maybe they'll get a receiver in the draft. I don't know, but I think
Marvin Mims has come on. If he's still if he didn't go somewhere else, like Marvin Mims has shown flashes as well of not only being a good football player but just having chemistry with Bo Nix as well. So
right.
That whole situation this is another situation where it's like you think you got your guy, bring the bring the community around him, basically bring in these weapons, and he'll prove, basically under the assumption that he'll prove it to you. So Broncos could be an interesting. Do I want to say this? I don't know if I want to say this out loud. I'm going to say it out loud. Broncos could be an interesting play for AFC West champion.
Oh.
What do you got? Let me clarify. Let me clarify. With the odds that would be provided. This is what I'm trying to say. The Chiefs are too easy. The Chiefs are going to be like minus 150 for that division. You just can't love that, right? So if it's not the
Chargers,
Chiefs,
though, over the Chargers.
Listen, I'm just saying I might like it for the odds that I would be given for it. But because the Chargers are in that division, that it makes the Chiefs and the Chargers.
I want to see how the draft shakes out, because I think the Raiders are also like Geno Smith is not a scrub.
No. But again, I'm just thinking. All I'm trying to say is, if there was a bet that says Chiefs do not win the AFC West this year, I would be smashing that.
Smash that one, yeah.
Because they're going to be the favorite again for no reason.
Yeah,
they're on their way out. The Super Bowl loss hangover is going to be too strong.
Yeah, 100%.
You want to touch on a couple of these defensive moves here really quick before we kind of segue into, I guess we kind of wrapped all of our analysis into one big segment here, which is totally fine. But
yeah, I was thinking we could wrap up the free agency, and we might maybe make this a two-parter.
We could actually make this a two-parter. Yeah.
Yeah, because I think this is kind of a nice little break here, and I'm sure by the time we record again, the draft will have happened. You know what I'm saying? You see where my head's at?
Yeah, I like it. And we'll have to. All of this analysis will be completely obsolete just a couple of weeks from now. That's not true at all. But it'll be interesting to see how we sort of tweak these different things. And like I said, I think it's important to not buy into too much hype based on the draft, but also then maybe give you some more reasons to believe or things like that. So we'll have to see. Is there really quick, is there a team you're most or is there a player you're most excited of all the ones we talked about today? Do you have a team or a player you're most excited to see?
It's probably going to be a popular choice amongst football fans everywhere. It has to be Devontae Adams.
Yeah, I figured you were going to say that.
It has to be. That the upside of that situation is just music to my soul.
Too much.
Close second is going to be if Jameis wins the starting job in New York. The Winston to Neighbors connection is going to be a thing of beauty.
The Winston to I think I know what you really want to see. It's the Winston to Eagles cornerbacks connection that you're really excited to see.
That'll be nice too. It'll be a nice pairing. It's like a nice cheese and a nice wine. You know what I'm saying? Oh, oh shit. Oh, and I see some legs on this thing too. Oh, you know what I'm saying?
Man. Malik Neighbors just cooking the Eagles secondary on 2 deep touchdowns, and then Jameis Winston throwing the game away by throwing 3 picks on different passes at the same time. We need that. Can we talk about?
It's the Winston special.
Come on, the Giants need to abandon Russ at all costs.
Yeah.
I'll close by just saying I'm actually really excited, and maybe this is sick and cynical of me, sick and twisted. I'm really excited to see Sam Darnold for the Seahawks because I think he's going to be he's suddenly going to look like old Sam Darnold again, and it's going to make me laugh hysterically because it's going to prove basically that the Vikings made the right move by getting rid of him. My contention is the Vikings are a very user-friendly offense, and Sam Darnold is a backup quarterback. And he had a Case Keenum type season with the Vikings. And when they got rid of him, I was upset. And they signed Kirk Cousins. I was like, Case Keenum earned the starting job. Look, where's Case Keenum now? Exactly. So it was actually the right move. And I'm really happy that they learned from that mistake and did not decide to keep Sam Darnold after having one magical year, because I think you're putting your faith in the wrong thing. Sam Darnold was not the answer. Your team is good. Your offensive weapons are very good. And I think that now without DK Metcalf in Seattle, he's going to suddenly look like New York Jets Sam Darnold, or at least something close to that, suddenly again. And also the elements too. You're playing outdoors again. Like, you're playing in a cushy glass palace in Minneapolis. Now you go back to playing in the rain. This is not going to work out well for him. That's my opinion. I could be wrong.
So I made this argument at the start of last season when we were discussing Sam Darnold being the starting quarterback of the Minnesota Vikings. And it is simply, what if he's good?
Did we not see that? That would be my question. Why did we not see that before the Vikings?
That's an answer neither of us have, but what if he's good? And I know you want to write this off again.
I don't even know how to answer that, because
well, let's just say we've got Sam Darnold walking into a situation where he'll be throwing to Cooper Kupp and Jackson Smith and Jigba. Are we going to say that's not a comparable duo to Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison?
I am going to say that the latter is much better, but maybe
Cooper
not much
Kupp
better.
and JSN, yeah,
maybe
much
not
better?
much better. Maybe not much better. Better, but not much better.
Okay. And they've got a competent backfield.
They do. They have a little bit of a 1-2 punch brewing there with Charbonnet coming on. So we'll see. All I'm saying is that that's a tough division, and Sam Darnold never looked like this before Minnesota. So it's easiest for me to just assume. It's easiest for me to just assume that he is a not great quarterback playing in a user-friendly offense last year, and that he will revert back to his okay-ish form this year in a less.
I still need to see those Seahawks wins come down 8.5.
Yeah, you don't like the over on that, despite all this stuff. Maybe what if Sam Darnold's nice? Well, he's got to play 2 games against the Rams. They got to play against Kyler Murray if he doesn't play Call of Duty. Those could be 2 losses, like you said earlier.
Yeah,
I'm just
Niners.
saying.
Niners are of course the Niners.
And of course the Niners. Like, we don't know what it's easy to forget about them after this last season, but they could come back to form. We all throw them now, so we'll have to see. Anyway, that's I think that's a good place to wrap it up here.
Yeah, not a bad start to our free agency recap. Who's that? Hazel?
Absolutely. Right as they get a kitty cat yowling on the back. So again, thanks for joining us. Feel free to follow us on social media. You can look for us, Football Clowns Anonymous. And until next time, enjoy all the other free agency moves, and we hope you'll visit our circus again sometime soon.